We're back with another wild entry in our manufacturer series, and this one might shock you. These are the most expensive motorcycles ever built by brands still in business today. No auction bikes, no celebrity owners, just raw price tags straight from the factory. And some will blow your mind. Number 16. Royal Enfield, 1970. Interceptor. When most people think of Royal Enfield, the word expensive doesn't usually come to mind. But back in the late 1960s, the brand released what is now considered its most premium motorcycle of all time, the 1970 Interceptor 700. While Royal Enfield has recently pushed into the modern market with accessible prices, this classic model stood out for its performance, rarity, and sheer presence. Originally sold in the United States for $1,495 in 1970, the Interceptor 700 was considered a top-of-the-line performance cruiser. Adjusted for inflation, that comes to well over $12,000 today. That may not sound outrageous by modern standards, but for the time and for a Royal Enfield, that was a serious price tag. The Interceptor used a 736 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, producing 52 horsepower and about 44 pound-feet of torque. In terms of hardware, the Interceptor was equipped with front and rear drum brakes, a 4-speed gearbox, and a dry weight of just under 420 pounds. The suspension featured traditional telescopic forks up front and dual shock absorbers in the rear. It was considered advanced for its time, especially considering the company's British competitors. But if you thought Royal Enfield's price tag was high for its era, just wait until you see the next resurrected British legend on the list. Number 15. BSA Gold Star 500D BD34. Before BSA vanished into history and later rose from the ashes, it was one of the most dominant motorcycle manufacturers in Britain. And their crown jewel, the Gold Star 500D BD34. Originally launched in the 1950s and gaining traction in the early 1960s, this motorcycle was not just a bike, it was a status symbol. It represented the absolute peak of British performance engineering in its era. At the time, a standard Gold Star 500 retailed for around 211 British pounds. Converted and adjusted for inflation, that equals more than $9,000 today. But that price only reflects the base model. When you factor in the Clubman and racing spec trims, that price shoots up to what would be over $15,000 in today's money. The Gold Star 500 packed a 498 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine that produced about 35 horsepower and 30 pound-feet of torque. That doesn't sound like much today, but in the 1950s that was an impressive number, especially when you consider the bike only weighed around 380 pounds dry. It featured clip-on handlebars, rear-set foot pegs, and a sleek alloy tank. Suspension was fairly straightforward. Telescopic forks up front and twin shocks in the rear. Braking was handled by drum brakes, typical for the period but well-tuned for its lightweight build. Now let's turn to a British manufacturer that didn't just aim for nostalgia, they built a modern monster. Number 14. Triumph Rocket 3 GT 221. Triumph might not be known for six-figure bikes or carbon-clad racers, but when they do go big, they go very big. Case in point, the Rocket 3 GT 221. This beast is named for its eye-popping 221 pound-feet of torque, the highest of any production motorcycle in the world when it was released. With a starting price of $25,000, this isn't just Triumph's most expensive production bike to date, it's also its most excessive in the best possible way. The Rocket 3 GT 221 comes with a massive 2,458 cubic centimeter inline-3 engine, delivering 167 horsepower and that earth-moving torque figure. This isn't a cruiser that just looks good rolling down Main Street, it moves. Suspension comes from high-end Showa components, with adjustable forks in the front and a fully adjustable monoshock in the rear. Brakes are Brembo-style McCalipers clamping onto dual 320mm discs up front and a single disc at the rear. Dry weight comes in around 645 pounds, making it surprisingly manageable given its size. But don't think the prices stop here. The next bike proves that even Italy's old-school charm can come with a modern financial sting. Number 13. Moto Guzzi MGS-01 Corsa. Out of all the bikes Moto Guzzi has ever produced, none are more outrageous or rare than the MGS-01 Corsa. Built as a pure race machine and never intended for road use, this Italian stallion represents the wildest thing ever to roll out of Mandello del Lario. Introduced in the early 2000s, it was the answer to Moto Guzzi's critics who said the brand had lost its performance heritage. The MGS-01 Corsa was their rebuttal, a bright red, track-only beast with limited production numbers and an unforgettable silhouette. Under the carbon fiber skin sits a heavily tuned air-cooled V-twin engine displacing 1,226 cubic centimeters. It produces 122 horsepower and 83 pound-feet of torque. This isn't just about numbers, though. The MGS-01 Corsa features Öhlins suspension front and rear, a tubular aluminum swing arm, and full Brembo braking hardware for top-tier track performance. Tipping the scales at just under 400 pounds dry, it's one of the lightest and most agile bikes Moto Guzzi has ever built. This bike was never street legal and was sold only in very small batches to track enthusiasts and collectors. At launch, it carried a price tag of roughly 20,000 British pounds, which translates to about $35,000 in today's money. Only 150 units were ever made, making it not just the most expensive Guzzi of all time, but also one of the rarest. And trust us, what's next is even wilder. The next bike on the list proves that even Japan can make expensive bikes. Number 12. Suzuki Hayabusa Boulder Edition. Suzuki has long been the brand that puts value before vanity. They don't often dive into the ultra-luxury, ultra-expensive end of the motorcycle pool. But with the Hayabusa Boulder Edition, they finally crossed the $30,000 mark, and it caught everyone off guard. Only 100 of these units were ever made, sold exclusively in France. With a price tag hovering around 28,000 United States dollars, the Boulder Edition remains the most expensive motorcycle Suzuki has ever officially released. Underneath the limited edition finish, this machine stays true to its roots. It features a 1,340 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine pushing out nearly 190 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. The dry weight sits at 564 pounds. It's supported by fully adjustable suspension front and rear with dual-disc Brembo brakes and anti-lock braking system as standard. There's no flashy marketing or carbon fiber frenzy here. This wasn't built for hype, it was crafted for the faithful. While some dismiss it as a cosmetic tweak, others treat it like a collector's grail. It never made it to the United States, yet it's gained mythical status among international enthusiasts. It may not scream exotic, but this quiet giant marks the highest price tag ever tied to a Suzuki production motorcycle. And it did so without fanfare. And the next bike on the list might not be the most expensive, but it's definitely one of the fastest. Stick around. Number 11. Yamaha YZF-R 7. Back in the late 1990s, Yamaha set its sights on world superbike glory and built a machine to make it happen. The YZF-R 7, also known as the OW02, was released in 1999 at a staggering 32,000 United States dollars. This wasn't a street bike pretending to be fast. It was a homologation weapon, light, aggressive, and ready for war on the track. The R7 runs on a 749 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine, delivering 106 horsepower in stock trim. Add the factory race kit and output jumps to 162 horsepower with 66 pound-feet of torque. It weighs just 378 pounds dry. It comes equipped with fully adjustable Öhlins suspension, a lightweight aluminum frame, and cutting-edge electronics for its time, making it scalpel-sharp on the race circuit. Only 500 units were built worldwide, and very few reached the United States. Most were boxed up and saved as track day legends or collectible investments. For Yamaha, a company known for performance with practicality, this was a radical departure. It wasn't built to sell in volume. It was made to win races. 2 decades later, the R7 OW02 is still revered. not just as a motorcycle, but as a rare glimpse of what Yamaha can do when it throws compromise out the window and builds with only one purpose: domination. Now let's leave homologation behind and head into the wild with a brand that eats orange and breathes performance. Number 10. KTM-RC8C. The most expensive motorcycle ever produced by KTM isn't some futuristic MotoGP prototype or a one-off concept from a trade show. It's the RC8C, a track-only weapon built with serious racers and collectors in mind. Released in extremely limited numbers, only 200 units were made, and they sold out almost immediately. Priced at $40,000, this bike represents KTM's most aggressive leap into the exclusive performance market. At its heart is an 890 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine that delivers 128 horsepower and 74 pound-feet of torque. Weighing just 320 pounds dry, the RC8C is built using a chrome moly tubular frame, race-grade suspension, and top-tier braking components. The suspension setup includes fully adjustable WP Apex Pro forks and a WP Apex Pro rear shock, the same level of equipment you'd expect to find on a factory race bike. Braking is handled by Brembo-style calipers up front and a two-piston caliper in the rear. What makes the RC8C truly special is its exclusivity. Buyers were even invited to a private track day with KTM factory racing engineers to dial in their bikes. That makes it less of a purchase and more of an experience. It might not be the fastest or the most powerful on this list, but for riders who live and breathe the track, it might be the ultimate fantasy. But KTM isn't the only brand going niche. America's oldest motorcycle maker had a secret weapon of its own. Number 9. Indian FTR 750 Limited. Indian Motorcycle isn't known for six-figure exotics or carbon-clad racers, but their most expensive bike to date isn't a cruiser at all. It's the FTR 750, a purpose-built flat-track race bike priced at $50,000. Only 50 units of this machine were made available to the public, and each one came with more than just a price tag. It came with pedigree. Underneath the tank sits a 750 cubic centimeter V-twin engine tuned for maximum torque and throttle control on dirt ovals. It produces around 105 horsepower and 90 pound-feet of torquey numbers that might not impress on paper until you realize the bike weighs just 310 pounds. That power-to-weight ratio is built for sliding sideways at speed. The FTR 750 features a tubular steel frame, Öhlins suspension front and rear, and a race-spec exhaust that screams competition. Its single front disc brake and dirt-specific tires are tailored for one job: winning flat track races. There's no headlight, no turn signals, and no license plate bracket. This thing is not street legal, and it never pretended to be. Next up, a motorcycle from Italy that makes the Indian look downright tame in both price and purpose. If you're still here drooling over torque numbers and carbon fiber specs, you're our kind of rider. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us, which of these bikes would you drop your life savings on? We dig into this stuff every day because someone has to keep track of the world's wildest motorcycles. Next up, a motorcycle from Milwaukee that trades lean angles for legroom and a massive price tag. Number 8. Harley-Davidson CVO Tri Glide. The most expensive production Harley-Davidson of all time isn't a bagger, a cruiser, or even a softail. It's a trike. And not just any trike, it's the CVO Tri Glide, a machine that turns every American road into a throne room. Starting at $50,000, this three-wheeled colossus is powered by the Milwaukee 8-117 engine, a 1,927 cubic centimeter V twin that cranks out 106 horsepower and 125 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot of muscle for a machine tipping the scales at 1,246 pounds. The Tri Glide's frame is reinforced to handle the added weight of that rear axle, and it features a unique rear suspension setup with dual shocks to keep the ride balanced and comfortable. Up front, you've got a 49mm dual bending valve fork. Braking duties are handled by reflex-linked Brembo brakes with ABS as standard, front and rear. And let's not forget that this thing isn't just about comfort or hauling capacity. It's fully loaded with Harley's premium infotainment system, speakers built into the trunk, and enough chrome to blind you on a sunny day. Love it or hate it, this is the crown jewel of Harley's lineup when it comes to price. And that makes it number 8 on our list. But if you want pure engineering insanity, the next bike trades chrome for carbon and costs more than most cars. Number 7. BMW HP4 Race. The HP4 Race is not just BMW's most expensive motorcycle, it's a masterclass in carbon fiber engineering. With a price tag of $78,000, this hand-built beast comes stripped of compromise. Weighing in at only 322 pounds dry, it uses a 1,000 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine that produces 214 horsepower and 83 pound-feet of torque. This thing revs to 14,500 RPM and was built with one purpose: track obliteration. The chassis is a fully carbon fiber monocoque frame, and even the wheels are carbon, cutting an insane amount of unsprung weight. Suspension duties are handled by Öhlins FGR 300 forks up front and ATTX 36 GP shock out back. Brembo GP 4PR monoblock calipers grab the discs with race-grade force, ensuring that stopping is just as breathtaking as going. BMW didn't build this bike to ride to the grocery store. This is MotoGP level performance wrapped in a chassis that takes 4 technicians 1 week to construct. It's as close as you'll get to owning a full-blown prototype race bike without actually entering a championship. For collectors, it's a no-brainer. For racers with money to burn, it's a dream. The HP4 Race isn't just a motorcycle, it's proof that when engineers are given an unlimited budget and no rules, the result is pure performance art. That's why it earns the number 7 spot on our list. Still, the next machine is where MotoGP dreams were handed a key and a license plate. Number 6. Ducati Desmosedici RR. If you've ever dreamed of owning a MotoGP bike, Ducati came closer than anyone with the Desmosedici RR. Released in the year 2008, this street-legal racing replica stunned the motorcycle world with a price tag of $72,500 at launch. But once you factor in inflation, this beast would cost over $100,249 today, making it the most expensive Ducati ever sold from the factory. Now let's talk about performance. The Desmosedici RR packs a 1,098 cubic centimeter V4 engine capable of pumping out 200 horsepower and 85 pound-feet of torque. At just under 400 pounds dry, the power-to-weight ratio is incredible. Its suspension features fully adjustable Öhlins racing forks up front and a race-spec monoshock in the rear. Braking is handled by top-tier Brembo monoblock calipers, gripping dual 330mm discs. So what made the Desmosedici RR so unique? For starters, it wasn't just a Ducati superbike with fancy plastics, it was a near-direct replica of their actual MotoGP machine from that era, the Desmosedici GP6. Riders got titanium components, a carbon fiber body, and a full race exhaust developed by Termignoni. And while it might not beat today's hyperbikes on paper, it wins in pure, unfiltered MotoGP legacy. And Ducati wasn't alone. Aprilia built something even wilder, and they handed it over to the public. Number 5. Aprilia RSV4FWGP. Now this is what happens when a factory decides to sell you a MotoGP bike. The Aprilia RSV4FWGP is a jaw-dropper. No detuning, no compromises, just raw Italian racing DNA straight out of Aprilia's racing division. With a factory MSRP north of $83,000, this is the most expensive production bike Aprilia has ever released. Underneath the carbon bodywork sits a full-blown 1,000 cubic V4 motor producing over 250 horsepower. Yes, you heard that right. Torque figures are equally insane, hovering around 100 pound-feet. Suspension is pure racing pedigree, top-of-the-line Öhlins forks and a rear monoshock tuned for professional-level performance. Brembo GP-spec brakes handle stopping power with confidence and finesse. But what makes the FWGP worth the cost isn't just numbers, it's the experience. Buyers aren't just getting a motorcycle, they're invited to Aprilia's racing headquarters for a one-on-one setup with Aprilia engineers. You get your suspension dialed, electronics tuned, and riding style analyzed by actual MotoGP pros. It's not just a sale, it's an initiation into one of the most elite clubs in motorcycling. At over 250 horsepower and weighing just over 350 pounds, the FWGP isn't just Aprilia's crown jewel, it's one of the closest things to MotoGP ownership money can buy. And it's worth every penny if you have the skills to match. But if there's one brand that's turned racing dominance into showroom royalty, it's this next Japanese icon. Number 4. Honda RC213 VS. If you've ever dreamed of owning a MotoGP machine, Honda made that fantasy real with a massive caveat. Released in the year 2016, the RC213 VS is the most expensive motorcycle Honda has ever sold. At a starting price of $184,000, this bike is essentially the road-legal version of Honda's actual MotoGP race bike, the RC213V. The S stands for street, but don't let that fool you. Without the optional race kit, it's significantly toned down. Under the carbon fiber bodywork sits a 999 cubic centimeter VE4 engine. With the race kit, it puts out 215 horsepower and 87 pound-feet of torque. Dry weight comes in at just 370 pounds. The suspension is top-tier, Öhlins TTX rear with fully adjustable front forks. Braking is handled by Brembo radial-mounted calipers. Still, the RC213 VS was never really meant to dominate the track. It was built for collectors. Units left in their original crate have already sold for over $200,000 at auction. In the end, the RC213 VS isn't about performance per dollar. It's about owning a piece of MotoGP history, something most riders will only ever see in videos or behind glass. And now we go from race replica to pure madness. Kawasaki's Ultimate Flex doesn't even pretend to be street legal. Number 3. Kawasaki Ninja H2R. The ultimate power flex, literally, the fastest, most insane production bike ever. The Kawasaki Ninja H2R is not for the faint of heart. It's a track-only weapon with zero compromises. No turn signals, no mirrors, no emissions equipment, just raw, unrestricted speed. With a price tag of $56,000, it's the most expensive production bike Kawasaki has ever made, and it earns every penny of that title. Powering this monster is a 998 cubic centimeter supercharged inline 4. It delivers 326 horsepower and 122 pound-feet of torque numbers that would sound absurd even in the world of cars. Weighing in at 476 pounds, the H2R comes equipped with a lightweight trellis frame, full Showa suspension, and Brembo brakes that are practically race spec. And then there are the winglets, those signature blades on the front fairing. They're not just for looks. Without them, this bike would take off. The H2R can hit over 240 miles per hour on a closed course, making it arguably the fastest production motorcycle on Earth. If ever there was a motorcycle that looked like it escaped a wind tunnel in a fighter jet factory, it's this one. The H2R is chaos on two wheels, and that's exactly why it exists. But the next one isn't just about horsepower, it's about redemption, legacy, and the price of a comeback. Number 2. Norton V4SV. Priced at $54,000, the V4SV isn't just Norton's most expensive production motorcycle of all time. It's a symbol of ambition following years of collapse, financial scandal, and redemption. This bike is hand-built in the United Kingdom, with painstaking attention to detail and low production volume, making it feel more like a boutique creation than a mass-market machine. Powering the V4SV is a 1,200 cubic centimeter VE4 engine producing 185 horsepower and 92 pound-feet of torque. With a dry weight of 413 pounds, it offers solid power-to-weight performance, though not necessarily class-leading. The suspension is fully adjustable and provided by Öhlins with a top-shelf Nix 30 fork up front and a TTX GP shock in the rear. Braking is handled by Brembo-style calipers paired with dual 320mm front discs and a 245mm disc in the back. What makes this bike unique is its aluminum billet single-sided swing arm, handmade carbon fiber bodywork and tank, as well as its beautifully stitched Alcantara seat. No detail is too small. The V4SV is a statement piece, one that speaks to craftsmanship more than just pure engineering. However, the bike's performance is not on par with many other motorcycles in this price range. Still, for collectors or loyal Norton fans, it's more than a bike. It's a comeback story you can park in your garage. Finally, we reach the top, where price, prestige, and performance collide in one jaw-dropping Italian masterpiece. Number 1. MV Agusta F4cc. Topping the list at number 1 is the MV Agusta F4cc, the most expensive production motorcycle the company has ever released, and one of the most lavish two-wheeled statements in motorcycling history. Priced at $120,000 at launch, the F4cc wasn't just a bike. It came with a limited edition Trussardi leather jacket and a titanium plate laser-etched with the owner's name. CC stands for Claudio Castiglione, the late CEO of MV Agusta, who personally approved every design aspect of this machine. Underneath all the prestige is a true superbike monster. The engine is a 1,077 cubic centimeter inline four-cylinder capable of delivering 212 horsepower and 92 pound-feet of torque. The entire machine weighs in at 438 pounds dry. Its top speed was claimed to be over 195 miles per hour, a figure achieved through its lightweight carbon fiber fairings and aggressive aerodynamic profile. The suspension is provided by Marzocchi and Sachs with massive 50mm forks up front and a fully adjustable Sachs rear monoshock. Brakes are Brembo monoblock calipers biting into 320mm discs in the front and a 220mm disc in the rear. Only 100 units were made, and everyone was hand-assembled in Varese, Italy. The F4cc is less of a motorcycle and more of a flex, a crown jewel in MV Agusta's legacy of exotic, impossibly fast machines. Even now, nearly 2 decades after its release in 2007, it remains a benchmark in design, speed, and sheer audacity. For anyone looking to own a rolling piece of Italian engineering history, the F4cc still stands unmatched. 12 brands. One goal, no compromises. Like and subscribe for more motorcycle deep dives, because next time we're going even bigger.